Hey everyone, today we're starting a new playlist about Tailwind CSS v4. In this series, we're going to learn the main concepts and basics of Tailwind CSS so you can build modern, beautiful websites really fast. What is Tailwind CSS? So what exactly is Tailwind CSS? Tailwind CSS is a utility-first CSS framework that lets you style your HTML directly using small, single-purpose classes. That means it comes packed with hundreds of predefined classes that you can combine to build any design directly inside your HTML without writing any CSS by hand. Basically, it helps you rapidly build modern websites without ever leaving your HTML. What is the difference between traditional CSS and Tailwind CSS? Let's understand the difference with a simple example. In traditional CSS, if you want to design a simple button, you usually have to create a new CSS file, add styles like background color red, padding 10px, then link that CSS file to your HTML. But in Tailwind CSS, you don't need to create a CSS file at all. You just use predefined classes directly in your HTML, like this. Here, bg-red 500 makes the background red, px-4 adds horizontal padding, pi2 adds vertical padding. You don't write any custom CSS. Tailwind already did it for you. Each class has a single responsibility, and that's why it's called utility first. Every class performs one specific function. Why Tailwind CSS is awesome. With Tailwind CSS, you can build websites much faster because you only write HTML and use the right utility classes. You design everything directly inside your markup. No need to jump between files. Tailwind is also very flexible and customizable. It gives you the power to design anything you want while keeping full control of how it looks. Tailwind versus other frameworks. Now you might ask, wait, isn't Tailwind just like Bootstrap or Material UI? Well, not exactly. Think of Bootstrap or Material UI as high-level frameworks. They come with ready-made components, buttons, nav bars, modals, that you can just copy and use. That's great for quick work, but it also has some downsides. It's often hard to customize components to match your unique design. And honestly, websites built with Bootstrap or Material UI often look similar. You can usually tell right away because of the same styles and spacing. Tailwind, on the other hand, is low level. It doesn't give you pre-designed components. Instead, it gives you the building blocks to create your own. That's why it's called utility first. You have full freedom to design exactly what you want. And of course, if you don't want to start from scratch, there are tons of pre-built Tailwind components, plugins, and templates available online. So you can still move fast, but with much more flexibility and customization. Now it's time to install and get started with Tailwind CSS. For that, I've already created a folder here and named it Tailwind CSS. Just open this folder in your IDE. Once you open the folder, you can start the installation. We'll follow the official installation guide. As you can see, there are many ways to install Tailwind CSS, for example, using Vite. If you're working with frameworks like Laravel, React, or Next.js, then Vite might be the best option. You can also install it using PostCSS, but in our case, we're going to use the Tailwind CLI. One important thing, since we'll use NPM to install Tailwind, we need Node.js, so make sure Node.js is installed on your computer. To check, open your terminal and type node-v. If it shows a version number, then Node.js is already installed. If not, go to the official Node.js website, nodejs.org, download it, and install it. It's very simple. Just run the installer and click Next until it finishes. Once Node.js is installed, we can follow the instructions. First, copy the install command and run it in your terminal. Next, we need to create a file named input.css. Inside your src folder, create this file, then import Tailwind CSS inside it by adding the required directives. The next step is to create an index.html file. Also, place it inside the src folder and copy the example code from the documentation. Now we can start the Tailwind CLI build process. This command will generate and build your CSS. Run it in your terminal. Once it's done, you'll find the output.css file that contains all your compiled Tailwind styles. To test it, open your project using Live Server. If you don't have the live server extension, you can install it from the VS Code Marketplace. It allows you to open your HTML files in a browser with live reload. After opening your file with live server, let's test if Tailwind CSS is working. For example, add a background color to some text. Type BG Red 500. If the background changes, that means everything is working correctly. Now let's figure out some Tailwind CSS examples to show you how you can design just by using classes. For example, let's say we want to make the background gray. We just replace red with gray, and as you can see, it changes instantly. We can also control the shade of the color. For example, if we write gray 100, it becomes a lighter gray. Now let's add some padding. You can do that just by using P8. By the way, the numbers in Tailwind represent a spacing scale. For example, P8 equals 2 rem, which is 32 pixels. Let's remove the underline and make the text bigger. We can simply use Text 4XL. Now let's add a new button and style it a bit. We'll add some margin, a light green background using BG-green-200, horizontal and vertical padding, and make it rounded. As you can see, it's super simple. That's the beauty of Tailwind CSS. You don't have to spend time writing custom CSS anymore. And the best part is that it's fully responsive. You can easily add hover effects, focus states, and even different styles for mobile and desktop with just a few class names. Now let's understand how Tailwind CSS actually works behind the scenes. If you open the output.css file, you'll find all the styles that Tailwind generated. But here's the thing. Tailwind doesn't include all of its styles automatically. Instead, it scans your HTML files, looks for the utility classes you're using, and generates only the necessary CSS for those classes. This is handled by the command we executed earlier, the Tailwind CSS CLI command. Let me break it down for you. -I, then the src input.css. This tells Tailwind where our main CSS file is, the one that imports Tailwind. Then we have -osrc-output.css, and this defines where the final compiled CSS file will be saved. And this watch means Tailwind will keep watching our HTML files, mean Tailwind watching files, and every time you change HTML, the output changes. So whenever we add or remove a class, Tailwind automatically rebuilds the output.css file. In other words, this command starts the Tailwind build process. It scans your project files, detects which classes are used, and then generates styles only for those classes. This makes your CSS much more optimized and lightweight, since it only includes what your project actually needs. So to check that, you can go and open the output.css file, then scroll down until you see the @layer utilities section. There, you'll find the styles for the classes we used in our HTML since we created the project, like rounded, BG red, BG green, P2, P8, text 3XL, and text 4XL. And you might notice some other classes too. Those were the ones we used earlier and then removed. To update the file, we can simply re-execute the command, and Tailwind will rebuild the output.css with only the classes that still exist in our project. As you can see now, it contains just the styles for the used classes. That's what makes Tailwind so lightweight and efficient. You can also notice that each class has one clear functionality. For example, M5 applies a margin using a spacing value that's a multiple of 5. That's great because it gives you full control and consistency when styling your components. Don't worry for now about remembering all those class names. We're going to explore them step by step in the next videos. So if you're ready to master Tailwind CSS and start building beautiful designs fast, make sure to subscribe and follow along. See you in the next video.